Second Republican moves to impeach Fani Willis. Here is a clip.
I want to jump to this story from the Post-Millennial.
The volume.
Donald Trump will be arrested by Fani Willis on Thursday in Atlanta. He says, I'll be going to Atlanta, Georgia on Thursday to be arrested by a radical left district attorney. And in the context...
This is all tomorrow, so definitely subscribe to the channel, follow me. I'll definitely be covering this with all the details tomorrow.
All of this the Agenda 2030 type stuff. More so how Democratic politicians agree with climate lockdown ideas and want to stop climate change, those kinds of things. The future I envision with an unobstructed Donald Trump is secure borders, you having a job somewhere, factories coming back, and kind of the older way of doing things. What Democrats want, and I mean this literally, I'm not going to use any euphemisms or conspiracies, like literally when they talk about climate change, they want a reduction in fossil fuels. They don't want factories. They want to outsource. They want you to... And
most of them hate nuclear too, so it's all nonsense. They want solar, wind, and all these lithium-ion batteries. That's worse for the Earth. Either they're stupid, or they're ignorant, or they're just lying, right? Because why not nuclear, and why all these lithium-ion batteries and stuff, which is terrible for the planet to produce them? And what do you do with them when they're obsolete and they need to be recycled? It's really hard to recycle them. It's getting better, the tech to recycle them, but for right now.
I want to say, oh, nothing and be happy, because that's more World Economic Forum. But they very much want you to live in your cubicle box and just be told what to do and do what you want. And many of the people in cities seem to be completely okay with it. Donald Trump is an inversion of that. And for that, he is their biggest threat. So, of course, Trump will be arrested. But we do have more news on this. A second Georgia lawmaker is seeking the impeachment of rogue district attorney Fani Willis. So with everything we've talked about so far in terms of degrowth and Agenda 2030, climate lockdowns, COVID lockdowns may be coming back, it is not a foregone conclusion. There is a very clear path to victory, and I think it is the obvious path to victory, and I think it is the likely path to victory. I think it is the likely outcome. Donald Trump only lost in 2020 by a margin of about 42,000 votes in 3 states. I think it is unlikely they screwed up this time. Trump has already said we need a ballot harvesting operation. There are already being moves made. There's more activism ramping up, and the Democrats don't have the advantage of hard lockdowns.
They need 100 Scott Presslers is what they need.
Huh.
They need to get rid of Ronna McDaniels. That's one thing that I wanted to ask you. What is your take on Ronna McDaniel?
Ronna McDaniels is the chairman of the the chairman of the RNC, Republican National Committee, I think, conference. Yeah, but that's who she is.
Putting me on the spot.
I know.
Well, I like to call her Ronna Romney McDaniel. Don't forget that.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Honestly, you've just literally given me your opinion
You
on
buried
McDaniel.
the lead. No, I think the RNC loves to fundraise a bunch of money off of well-meaning patriots, use it to use really, really cushy, retreats at 5-star resorts and do absolutely nothing. And I think they spit in the face and they're laughing behind the backs of people like Scott Pressler, people who are actually doing the work. And I don't think anyone should give any money to the RNC, and look no further than the antics they've been up to with this whole debate that's happening tomorrow, trying to get Trump to join in on it. Ronna is a joke. She spends, I think, a lot of the money on lip fillers. No.
Do you? I'm not going to touch that one. Why do you feel like Trump got behind her? Or what do you think he was thinking? Because I think that was probably one of the worst things that he did since he's been out of office, is actually putting his support behind Ronna McDaniel.
He also put his weight behind Kevin McCarthy, which I thought was very interesting.
In my opinion, she's the biggest person at fault for allowing the Democrats to just outperform them, to outpolitic them. You know, it's like on the ground game that the Republicans had was such an embarrassment compared to the Democrats. And the Democrats run rings around them. And it's Ronna McDaniel's fault. She was in charge. So, like, where's the accountability, you know, and what are they actually doing to make sure that it doesn't happen again? Because if you I really do think that the biggest culprit for why Donald Trump isn't in the White House now is Ronna McDaniels and the RNC.
Yeah.
I think it's twofold. I think in addition to the RNC just being like the abysmal.
And that's a big reason why in 2022 there wasn't bigger gains. a lot of Trump allies, like American First people, they gave them like no money. The RNC did. So,
Well, little sister of the DNC couldn't even compete if they wanted to. I also think the DNC has sort of an extension of an apparatus that is the groups like the Center for Tech and Civic Life, right?
Sure.
The Zuckerberg type groups. And we, just because we are the right, we don't have that. And I would argue that independent of the DNC, I think those so-called nonprofits, that really shady dark money apparatus, is what allowed Democrats to win more.
So you're not Ronan. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. So, but why do you think it is that like?
I'm definitely not Ronna.
I know. So I'm not trying. Like I said, I'm not trying to put you on the spot. But like, so then why do you think it is that like nothing was done? Like, why is it that she? Like, because
reelected.
the things Democrats have a history of having a better ground game, and because of the fact that they tend to cluster in urban areas, it's easier for them to do things like get ballot harvest. Why is it that Ronna hasn't nobody has thought about the fact that this is this is the way things are? Like, why weren't they prepared? I don't know.
No, I think it's the same question and the same answer and the same logical just anger that you get when you ask why House Republicans aren't doing anything really meaningful when it comes to the Hunter Biden investigation, to impeaching Joe Biden, to these COVID mandates, to defunding the government. And I think the issue is it's exactly and precisely people like Ronna who really to their core, yeah, maybe they're Republican, but they're not really conservative. I was going to say Trump supporters, MAGA type, but I know that for some people that might not necessarily be what they identify with. But I think these are people who are very okay with the status quo, because the status quo means that they retain their power. And I don't really think Ronna cares if Republicans lose elections. I just think she wants to retain her position.
Phil, would anybody go watch the Harlem Globetrotters if the Washington Generals won? They'd be.
I would buy tickets to the next game.
It would be interesting,
yeah,
to be completely honest. But I hate to break this to you, Phil, but the Generals, they're meant to lose.
I mean, I wish that we had a legitimate opposition party.
It looked like we were Turning Point USA. Charlie Kirk, I think they were. Who was it?
Third
Harmeet
party.
Dillon running against.
Yeah, Harmeet was. I thought
And
Harmeet
don't
was
forget Mike
going to win.
Lindell. No.
Oh, they both were.
Yes, Mike Lindell was.
The energy in the room was electrifying at
Yeah.
Turning Point when we were talking about it. Harmeet was there, and I thought, like, of course, it's like confirmation bias. I was like, she's definitely going to win with this kind of support. It was only like 1,000 people, and of course, you get caught up in your own smell.
True.
But like, then I mean, that's the lively Republican base is Charlie Kirk and Turning Point. Like that's
young people, yeah.
young people.
Yeah, so
Scott
I just
Pressler.
don't know why. I mean, I don't know if there's malfeasance behind the scenes, and that's why Ronna took it. If Ronna's just more popular on the global
don't
stage, so
understand.
that's why she got it. Did they vote
Well,
money?
I also think the RNC.
I think that Ronna just knows, like, she's an incumbent. She just is owed a lot of favors, and she knows these people. I think she barely won, so in their last election for the chair.
the election, right? It's not actually Americans voting, it's people within the confines of the RNC. And I think what you're talking about, right, the disconnection, or rather disconnect between the grassroots activist, actual MAGA type people and the selection of Ronna. And it's sort of like the same phenomenon, I would argue, with Trump in 2016, where that was the first time there was a candidate who actually appealed to the actual Republican voting base as opposed to the more elite, donor class. And I think, unfortunately, the RNC, I mean, there's a reason it has the reputation it does for the most part. And there are some RNC members who are, more populist, who are, come on War Room all the time and are always willing and down to slam Ronna. But I think, unfortunately, most of the members of the RNC, because think about how you get to be in the RNC. You don't get to be a member of the RNC or the committeeman or committeewoman if you're like a hardcore, outspoken, populist type, doing hardcore Trump activism.
Yeah, that's
they
kind
were
of the
against
problem,
Trump in
right?
2016. So I think you have a lot of holdovers there who, again, not that it's about Trump as a person.
Yeah, but if you're like outspoken and don't like the establishment, it's so messed up. That's what's bad about government in general, because once they get established, how do you get rid of it? Right? Because like she was just saying, if you're outspoken against what Phil's saying, hey, it's nonsense. You're doing a really bad job, blah, 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 blah. How are you even going to get onto the RNC, the panel, to even vote? They're not going to put you on there.
it's about more than that. It's about the stripe of the Republican Party and the voters who get behind him. And I think the Ronna Romney McDaniels of the world, the elite Republican, the country club Republican class, has done everything in their power to suppress and quash that stripe of conservatism.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Done, settled.
There you go.
The party. You know, Vivek, I was listening to him, Ramaswamy, on Sean Ryan's podcast last night, and he was saying how, like, it's really not about Republicans versus Democrats. It's about the, I guess you would call it the administrative class versus everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They've got this stupid lock, and he's like, just, you got to fire them. You've got to cancel the FBI and reposition a lot of the people into other departments and things.
We should not have a political class.
I agree.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
weird to me that there's a political class. That should not exist. People who are born and bred and educated for the sole purpose of being in charge of people makes no sense.
It's gross.
I'm sorry, that's how it maybe used to be with lords and stuff like that. But now this is supposed to be a country for, of, and by the people, which means it's supposed to be a
that was
person.
the part of the revolution, right? Is to get away from all that, the lords and all this stuff. Yeah, we're all supposed to be, it's equal and everything like that. And then if you are someone that just is bred to be part of the political class, how evil are you? No one wants power over other people. No normal people. The people that want power over other people are going to be slightly evil, right? They want power, and then these are the people who run for politics and get elected. It's kind of changing. Trump kind of changed it. When he won and he was an outsider candidate, that's kind of like blew up a lot of other people, like Matt Gaetz and stuff. They're like, okay, normal people can win. So that's pretty cool. But generally speaking, in this country, like right now, we need to get a lot more people out, like Mitch McConnell, Kevin McCarthy. Get them out of there. Get some new people in there. Even if they're like, to all of her faults, AOC, I don't like AOC. I think her politics are nonsense. I think she lies about everything. But what I like is she's like new. At least she's new, right? Because the person there before, they were just super establishment and you just knew what they thought. So even if we got some people in there that I don't agree with their policies in the slightest, and I don't even like them, at least it's fresh. And they haven't just been in there for 30, 50 years and can count on all these billionaire donors because they've known them for so long and everything. You know, I like the freshness, even if I don't like the people.
Who is running for office. Here's why. Here's my experience. Instead, perhaps only because of the natural tendencies of man, people who, carpenters, plumbers, electricians, taxi drivers, you name it, astronauts, they're just like, look, I don't want to deal with these policies. Can we just get someone else to do it?
And that's how it happened in the federal government. Yeah. It came from laziness, according to Vivek. When he was on our show, he was discussing this about a month ago, that the people in Congress just didn't want to do the work anymore, so they outsourced it to the what do you call it? Federal Reserve. Yeah. They create these external things to do their work that they should be doing.
That's because if they take votes and if they vote on the record, they have to answer to their constituents.
Well, yeah, and a lot of staffers, they'll just go and allocate this to staffers. I've heard this explained, I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, who you go get in there and you're like a fresh congressperson, but then all your staffers and advisors, they were just the same as the last congressperson. And that just always happens. So they're going to try to convince you to do stuff and everything. So it doesn't even change right away unless you're really principled and like, no, I'm not doing this. Like the Freedom Caucus, like Matt Gaetz and stuff, Lauren Boebert, they just don't want it. They want to change the whole thing. They want to get in there, go into Congress, make some change and get out. They don't want to go in there and make $200 million like Nancy Pelosi and stuff like that. But most people that go into Congress are like that. So it's like, how do you break that trend?
If they pass the buck to someone else, they can be, I didn't do it. So when they go back when Congress people go back to their areas, they can be like, oh, well, I tried and I told you I wouldn't. I tried to, but it didn't work. So because this is how it goes now. It's all about getting the less they're responsible for, the happier they are, because it's more likely they'll win they'll win re-election. So
taking responsibility for the actions is a huge part of why they outsource it or why they've been 100%. Trying to.
That's why they did it with Donald Trump with the not Donald Trump, with George Bush when it came to the Iraq war and stuff. They gave him the authorization for use of force. They're supposed to declare war. They didn't actually. That's what makes the Iraq war illegal, is the Congress doesn't have the authority to give the president the authority to make war. The president can react, so that the president can send the Marine Corps to, to save American lives or whatever. But the president can't conduct war. The Congress is supposed to declare war if we go to war.
That hasn't been true, though, since World War II, right?
Gave the president that power.
Am I wrong? I'm pretty sure they didn't declare war even in Vietnam. Maybe they did. I don't know. But maybe since Vietnam. I don't think Desert Storm. I don't think they had declaration of war there either in the 90s.
They didn't have the power to do
But I guess both of those are George Bush, so.
that. So that means that the president didn't have the power because Congress didn't have the power to give the president the power. So when the president ordered all the troops into Iraq, it was illegal because he didn't have the legal authority. The authorization for the use of force is an unconstitutional document. It was an unconstitutional law.
So is the Federal Reserve Act also unconstitutional legal?
The Federal Reserve Act is unconstitutional. There was an amendment that I believe was
Only
improperly
Americans can create money.
Improperly ratified. That was for the Federal Reserve. But the Federal Reserve, there are people that will make the argument that it is unconstitutional because it is not outlined in the Constitution. But there are also people that are going to say that the necessary and proper clause allows for it.
Thanks for watching this clip from the
Very interesting. They didn't really talk too much about the impeachment, of Fani Willis. But yeah, they should impeach Fani Willis. She's corrupt. Everyone knows she's corrupt. Let's just get her out of there. I appreciate that people are doing this more. Brian Kemp, that governor, is just such a loser. He's just spineless. He doesn't want her impeached. He's kind of like backing her. And Trump got him elected. It's a lot like Ron DeSantis. They get him elected, and then they turn on him. And I just think that's fascinating, right? I mean, if Trump gets you elected and his fans vote for you and then you get elected based on it, what do you want to keep that support? What's going to happen next election? Do they really think that all these like rhinos are just going to, they have enough of them to support Kemp? No, Kemp is done after his reactions to all this. Get him, primary him, get him out of there. Nobody likes him anymore. People only, I think, voted for him in the first place because, like I said, Trump was endorsing him. And they're like, okay, Trump's endorsing him. Trump should really start being way more careful with who he endorses. Unless they're like a super American first person, why are you even endorsing anybody? Especially for governor, right? I guess they can help if someone like resigns. A lot of Congress people, if they resign, the governor appoints people. So I kind of get it. But at the same time, it's just like, ugh, like you endorse these like Ron DeSantis and Brian Kemp, and then they just backstab you. But then again, there's only so many people running in certain places. So at the same time. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe for daily news updates, smash that like button, share this video with your friends, and share your thoughts on the story in the comments below. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.